To understand the benefit of acceptance, you'll have to realize that there are two possible states of being. The state where you are not in acceptance, where you are in rejection of the conditions that you find in your life, where you are, what you think, your perspective, all of that, or the acceptance. And if you can think of this as a spectrum, at the bottom of that spectrum would be rejection of what is happening. At the top would be appreciation and gratitude for what's happening. Anywhere above that middle line, that horizon line, you're in a state of acceptance. In that state, you have access to infinite intelligence, to inspiration, to intuition, to your spiritual gifts, your empathic abilities, to everything you truly want. In the rejection half, in the lower portion of that spectrum, when you are resisting what's happening, when you're in opposition to what is happening in your life, when you perceive the conditions are wrong or bad, when you have judgment of any kind, you cut off, to some extent, that connection with your inner self, with your guides and supporters, and with infinite intelligence. Well, where do you want to be? How do you want to operate in this reality? What is really going to give you the power that is incumbent on you to do everything you intended to do in this life and to make it through the challenges, to enjoy the wonderful things that are happening? Where do you want to be? You have that choice, and that choice is perspective. If you choose to see yourself as the creator of your reality, then you will have to somehow, some way, understand that what is happening now needs to be happening now. It's perfect. It's part of this journey. It's part of the experience that you will have and that you will need to move to where you intended to go. If you're in rejection of what's happening, if you find that your life or the conditions are imperfect in some way, you are fighting against. And in that fighting against, you have no access to the intelligence that will lead you through this time, through whatever it is you're going through, to where you want to be. You see, you're always moving from a limited perspective of yourself to a higher perspective of yourself. And those of you who are on this call now or listening at a later date, you chose to come into this life to have massive shifts in perspective. Well, that implies that where you started was relatively limited for who you truly are. And this, in combination with your sensitivity, has created a trajectory that led you to this information and to whatever work you're doing now or will be doing. Every experience you have has information that shows you your power, that shows you you are not limited, that shows you you are the creator of your reality, that shows you that you are not a victim. The emotion that you receive from your inner self, that emotion indicates exactly when you're in acceptance or in rejection. In rejection of any kind, when you are hating something, disliking something, wishing, hoping, praying things would be different, you will receive what you perceive as negative emotion. This is the indication that your perception is off. That's okay. This is what you want. But to most humans, they believe the outside conditions made them feel something. And if you really think about it, that is sort of ridiculous. How can something outside of you make you feel something? You can only interpret how it feels, and that interpretation is either correct or incorrect. If it's incorrect, you will feel negative emotion. Makes sense. Emotion that you do not want to feel. Emotion that does not feel good to you. And when you are perceiving reality correctly, when you're having fun, when you think things are going well, you receive positive emotion because you are more accurate in your perception of reality. You're more accurate in your perspective. You're not completely accurate, but you're moving in that direction. And you'll begin to feel better and better and better and better. And then expect to be shown who you truly are. And when you see the truth of that, you'll receive more positive emotion. And you'll feel better and better and better. And you'll have more clarity. This is the benefit of understanding who you are and understanding where you are, where you've come from, and where you're going. Now, you don't know where you're going. And so any ideal that you have in your mind, any attachment to the outcome, it's just going to be a stumbling block. Because if it doesn't seem like that's where you're going, you're going to use that as an excuse to reject what's happening. In rejection, you'll receive negative emotion. Anytime you perceive yourself as a victim, which is not true, you receive negative emotion. Your inner self sends it to you, delivers it to you, imparts it upon you. This is the agreement your inner self has made, will forever make, and will never, ever, 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 ever do anything different. You have never done anything but felt something. Positive emotion, negative emotion, not much of anything. You are a feeling person in a feeling reality. And because you're emotionally sensitive, your feelings are intense, just as you intended, not by accident. You intended this. You intended to have high emotional sensitivity because you really wanted to know when you're perceiving reality accurately or when you're perceiving it inaccurately. So to be in acceptance is to be perceiving your reality accurately. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. You don't have to thank it for being there if you don't want to. But you have to know that it is as it should be. It is perfect. It is moving you into experiences that will elevate your perspective if you allow it, if you see it as perfect, if you choose to understand that this is all your creation and you are a perfect creator. You have never made a mistake, nor has anyone in your life made a mistake. How they treated you was how they agreed to treat you until you got the message, until you understood. Once you understand, once you accept them, appreciate them, even grateful for their participation in your ascendance, then they are left off the hook and they can go on to explore whatever they came to explore. Until then, they made an agreement. They are going to stick to their guns. They are not going to waver from that until you've learned what you came here to learn. And that is acceptance. When we say acceptance, we say, this is a baseline. This isn't something that you're going to achieve and then let go. This is something that is the foundation of who you are and who you will be and everything that you want. When you get to this level of acceptance, you can now move to the next level, because when you're at a state of acceptance for a prolonged period of time, when you are endeavoring to see how things could be right, how things are working out, how people are playing their roles as they agreed, you get to a certain level of perspective. Now, from that level, it becomes a little bit easier to accept and easier to accept and easier to accept and easier to accept until you come to the point where the inspiration is so strong that you take some action. That action is what you came here to experience. That inspiration is leading you down this path that you intended to travel. This is how the whole system works out. But those who exist in a state of rejection, wishing that things were different, are going to face contrast. They're going to face things they do not want. And they're going to effort and struggle and control to get what they think they need or what they lack. This is going to cause many manifestation events. This is going to cause them to spin around exploring who they are not until they acquiesce and accept. Well, most people don't understand how the system works, but you do. You might understand it intellectually right now. You might be receiving some inspiration. You might decide to take a course or do an activation or have a conversation with a friend, read a book, watch a video, listen to a podcast, and you'll be moving along to accept the idea of acceptance. When you accept the idea of acceptance, you have to think in a new way. Otherwise, it will not hold. Because if you can accept one little thing, that's great. But if you're rejecting or judging or blaming others for what they're doing for you, you're not going to see the truth. And what you really want to do is see the truth. But when you start accepting, you'll start getting more inspiration. You'll start seeing yourself from a higher perspective. You'll be able to push past more fear. You'll have more experiences. And you'll see those experiences as perfect. What are they showing you? They're showing you your limitations much of the time. They're also showing you how splendid and wonderful and magnificent you are. But the ones where you don't really appreciate them, don't enjoy them, don't like them, think they're bad and wrong. Those manifestation events are just simply pointing out your limitations. When you grow and grow and grow through these manifestation events, noticing limiting beliefs, processing those limiting beliefs, doing the work, you move into new levels, higher levels. You start to see things differently. And one day you'll come to this idea that the person you think you are is just made up. It's completely limited to compared to the person who you truly are. And you will start to understand this. And one day you'll look at yourself and you'll say, I need nothing. Everything I need is given to me as soon as I need it to do whatever I need to do. If I need not do it, it need not come. I don't need anyone else to be or do anything differently, because how they're doing the things that they're doing and why they're doing the things they're doing are for me specifically. So I can see myself more broadly, and I can adjust my belief system, and I can move to the next level and to the next level. And then you'll come to understand that if I don't need anything, then what am I really? And what you are really is just a vessel of love, bringing in love, light, intelligence, inspiration from the non-physical and flowing it to you, flowing it through you perfectly at the perfect time, the perfect place for what? For everyone else, for this whole community of humans, this mass consciousness, because they are you, you are them, you are all one. When you understand that you are all one, you'll understand that with the higher perspective, you can see this more accurately. You don't need them to be different. You don't need yourself to be different. You don't need to plan anything. You don't need to have any attachment to any specific outcome, because from your limited perspective, you can't imagine what's waiting for you. So what do? You go with the flow of the life that you've created, because that life and every aspect of it is perfect by design for what you intended to experience in this lifetime. Know it's perfect, see the perfection, hold the perfection, and then live in gratitude and appreciation for that perfection that you yourself, along with your guides and supporters and your inner self, created. You are the creator of this reality. You can't see it exactly. You can't remember how you did it. You can't know who you are, because you are here to investigate all these other aspects of yourself and find that little tiny pinprick of light and move towards it. And you'll see it grow brighter and brighter and brighter, because that's who you truly are, not the identity that you believe yourself to be today. And with that, we'd like to talk about anything you'd like to talk about. Who'd like to start?